Hi, I'm Sean,
Hi, I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. As always, we want to thank you all who listened and subscribed on last week and welcome you to this week's episode titled The Importance of I Do. Now, I know my fellow saints out there are wondering why in the world didn't they start with this topic? I know my faithful Christians that would be the logical thing to do, but as we discussed in most of our topics, life is not always logical. Life is not always in order. I know I didn't start out in order. So I didn't want to, come
Exactly.
off like, yeah, I didn't want to, and we can't stress enough, Shannon, that we don't want to come off as
Yeah.
perfect and we got it all together because we're both married now,
hmm hmm Right. We're not perfect
I don't want to
people.
come off as judgmental, like, not at all. And I don't want to come off like, oh, we're married and this is what you should do. And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to try to help people. If we can't say it enough, save you for some of the things we did go through, And I'm happy though, Shannon, we can do that as
Right.
the team that we are. We don't have
Yeah.
any
Me.
drama amongst ourselves. And that makes us, it makes it better, I think, to put this message out.
Yeah. Yeah. And the importance of saying I do. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't have that before I had my child. But I do stress that when I do talk to the younger folks in the younger generations that want to have a child with someone and they think, because this person is their everything, is their world, or even as I talked about last week, you feel like just because you have a child with someone that's your person. That's not always the case. So, um,
Not at all.
understanding that we would rather you say I do and have a child instead of having a child out of wedlock. Not saying that marriage will guarantee the success of
You
raising
got
a
that
child
right.
together. Yeah, because
You
we
got
all
that
know
right.
marriage.
Marriage won't
Go
Marriage
ahead,
isn't
sir.
a guarantee for anything. No, I was saying marriage isn't a
Exactly.
guarantee for anything unless you do it
Right.
right and you do it from the word
Right.
and you just do it from a place where you should be, a place of God. Saying I do just for
Yeah.
benefits or saying I do, just because someone has money or because you have a baby. I guarantee it's not going
Yeah.
to work. It's not going to work unless you come to it in order.
Exactly. And even though my husband and I, we don't have children together, we have our stepchildren, his children from a previous marriage, and then of course my child. Even though we don't have children together, we do recognize the importance of saying I do and, bringing our grown children together because I didn't get married, of course, until way late in life. So our children were already adults, but we still want them to blend and, have a relationship. And we've worked through that. And one thing that I can give my husband credit for is when we first started dating, he had a vision and he said, if the goal isn't marriage, what are we doing? And to align yourselves as women, young women, with someone who would say that. And as a young girl, when I was 17, having my child, or I didn't have my child at 17, but I met his father at 17. But being a young mother at 20, um, not realizing and recognizing that the importance of I do, not that it would have made me and my child's father work, that wouldn't have been the answer. The answer would have been just trying to, look at not having this situation, or,
Absolutely.
just planning, making better plans. Better planning is all I'm
Better
talking about. I love
decisions.
better
Better decisions.
decisions. Yeah, I love
Hmm.
my son. My son is not a mistake. He is not an oops baby like we talked about last week. Love him to pieces, but young
But
people need to
I,
understand the importance of I do.
well, the thing about it is, we make a joke. Well, you made a joke, and that's a term, the oops baby. But to be honest, no babies are oops babies. Got babies are born and they are called before we even know them. Okay,
That's true.
so
God knew them
the,
before they
the
were here.
yeah, the oops may be in the place they're made or the way they're made, but we are meant to be their parents and they're called to who they should be. I
That's
my
true.
kids, like I said, My children were born out of wedlock. I was young, hot-headed, unlearned, and just, if I can call it correctly, I'm the mother of four. I can tell you that all four of them was not in a good place. None of my children was I married and I sat down and said, okay, let's have a baby now. And I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. But let me tell
Yeah.
you something.
Yeah.
Each one of those children saved my life at some point in time. They were all well needed.
Oh,
And God knows what He's doing. So don't think that because you
yes.
have a baby, you haven't got married, like it's over for me. I started wrong. I could not be more happier than I am right now. And this is my third marriage, my second time, second time to my first husband. But the importance of I do meant that this time we started with God. All my other
Right.
relationships were started in pure foolishness. This one was started, and I told him when we came back to the table, this is who I am now. I have found myself. I am no longer that girl. You know, that 19-year-old you met at the bus stop, and I don't go for the same
Hmm.
things. We can't be doing the same foolishness. And guess what? The importance of I do has caused our marriage to survive. Understanding the importance of I do, not going to the altar, because your marriage don't start that day.
Yeah.
Your
That's
marriage
right.
start when it gets
That's
real
right.
hard. Your marriage starts when things get crazy and you want to look at each other and want to go take somebody's
Say
head
it.
off.
Say it, Sean.
That's when your marriage starts. It don't start at the altar. I want to make that real clear. So walking down the altar, please don't let us mislead you into saying that I do is going to solve my problems. That's
Right.
actually when they start. Because you know what? Marriage is the highest institution, and the devil's going to fight that tooth and nail. So
Hmm.
we don't want you. I don't want to be misleading here and thinking you get married and that's going to make you have a great life. Oh, baby, that's when the fun begins. And
Hmm.
but this time you have that the threefold cord. You have that thing that you didn't have when you out here hot and unlearned and busting windows out your cars. God ain't
Right.
nowhere in that. No, He wasn't no out. That's why I
Right.
kept going to jail because that was my foolishness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was like, "You go bust the window, and I hope you got some money." But bringing our things to the table, letting my hubby know this time around, this is who I am, and if we ain't doing it under God, we're not doing it ever again. As much as I loved him, I knew from the
Hmm.
day I laid eyes on that boy, I didn't know I was gonna be his wife, but I knew he was gonna be around for a while. Then dealing with him, I always felt that this is my person. But you know
Yeah.
what, Shannon? We didn't have no I do. We didn't have no God in it the
Right.
first time around,
Right.
and it did not survive.
Hmm. Yeah. And in looking at my situation with my husband too, the importance of saying I do, even if there are no children involved, is giving up your individuality, giving up your independence, I guess, kind of, so to
Yeah, that's
speak.
gonna be. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about that a little later on. That
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So
that
that is hard.
individuality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate
So
it when my husband did say, if the goal isn't marriage, what are we doing? And a lot of young people need to take that same stance, is what I think. If I would have heard that when I was younger, I probably would have been flabbergasted. Like, what? And, at 20
right.
years old, you don't want to hear that. But, when you're older, it's like, oh, that's a cool concept that he's coming right out the gate with this. Um, and that should be the focus. If your goal is not marriage, what are you doing? Um,
Well,
and
that's why we're here.
yeah,
To save them from the things that we thought was cool. We thought
yes.
pulling up at 17 with your bitch on the front of your car was cool
Exactly.
because we were
Exactly.
unlearned. So hopefully we can
Unlearn.
say, yeah, we can
Mm-hmm.
save some young women
Yep.
from that.
Yep.
That's not cool. The pants hanging off the behind. And
And
again, I'm no judging, but your pants
yeah.
hanging off your behind and gold chains, that ain't getting it for me right now at almost
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. And we
Hmm.
were naive. And to look at a lot of the young folks today, though, I have to give them credit. There are so many young people that are doing it. They are doing well. They are about their education. They're about, learning STEM and learning code and, putting their education and their careers in focus versus these young boys and things that we thought were fascinating at the time. And not that they don't find them fascinating, I'm sure they do. Maybe they're just not as distracted as we are. And I
As we were,
commend them.
right.
Yeah, I commend them.
Yep.
And
Yep. We want to
great,
give those credit too. You're
yes,
right.
give them credit. There are so
So
many of
if you
us.
are doing the I do, kudos to you. I mean, keep
Kudos.
going. And you know what? The importance of that is, Shannon, don't let anyone talk you off your path. If that's
That's
who you
right.
are, don't let people say, "Oh, you too young. We too young to be talking about marriage," because they ain't too young. We ain't too young to be out here making babies.
Exactly.
If you out
And
here having children, moving in
hmm
together, nope,
yeah.
all of it comes hand in hand. So if you are on that path, like Shannon said, great. Keep on it and
Yes.
don't ever
Stay
let
on your
anyone take you
path.
off of it. That's
Exactly.
right.
Don't fall for the pretty eyes.
Don't, no,
Stay.
hold on now. No,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
hold
your
on,
hubby.
Shannon. Get off. That's my husband. Come on, honey. Hold up, girl. Now, we ain't had no problems in 20 years, Shannon. No,
I know.
don't go there. Don't go there with my man. No,
I know. I'm sorry.
but
I'm
you're
sorry.
right. No, no, no,
You're
no.
right.
But
You're
you're
right.
right though. No, but you're right though, girlfriend. It's just what I was saying is with the pants hanging off the behind, like whatever
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
that's your thing. And guess what? Maybe somebody with their pants hanging off is cool to you, but as long as they got Jesus,
Got
get them married and then
Jesus.
influence them to pull their pants up and put a belt on. Whatever is your
Hallelujah.
thing, whatever's your thing, that's your thing. But make sure God is ahead of whatever you do. And
Exactly.
even while you're dating, because guess what? He will keep it calm even in those days. Because the devil gonna come at you either way. Because sometimes we don't know that's our person, right?
Right.
Sometimes we don't know. But I'm gonna tell you who does know, that devil. And if it's the right thing,
Mhm.
he gonna start to fighting you. So you're gonna need God from the beginning when whatever you're doing. And all things in life. But
True.
especially when you're talking about relationships and making it permanent and being a long time thing, whether it's dating, committed, or marriage.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
port, keeping God first will lead you to that I do, and that's what you're gonna need to survive this thing.
Yeah. And understanding too. I want our young people to understand. They get so caught up into the actual wedding ceremony and all the grandeur of, hey, I'm putting on this big show, and that day, that one day is their focus. That is
That's
their
it.
only focus. And the marriage that comes after that is so much bigger and it's so much work. And people are like, why you want to put in the work? Because, as we all know, even as a friend, even if you have a friend, you have to put in work with friends.
Uh,
So
that's
why
right.
wouldn't you put in work with your marriage? It's
And I'm
like,
gonna
come
tell
on.
you, that's why I told you from the beginning, Shannon. I don't want to sell that this is a fairy tale, and I do is the answer
Hmm.
to all your problems. I do
Right.
is the beginning of your
Yeah,
life together, and that requires work. So we got to
exactly.
make that real clear. I don't want anybody going up thinking, well, if you get married, that's the end of it. No, I said that, and I'll say it again. It
Yeah.
it really starts when those problems starts. But that's what a marriage is, though. It's work.
Yeah, it is work.
And guess what? You get up every day, right, to go punch the clock because you need your money to live, right?
Yep,
You should be willing to put in that same work for your marriage
that's right. Yeah.
because it's going to come a time. So that is what our topic is today. We want to just dialogue about that a little bit. Um, I can't stress enough that I wish we would have started that way. I don't say we, Shannon. I'm speaking for myself. I
Yeah.
wish I would have started that way. But you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't. But I'm so thankful that God still came back and got me. He never left me. No, no, I came back to him. He never leaves you. I'm so
Hmm.
thankful that I came back around and this time I recognized that I needed God. So we
Yeah.
needed God to work and we're flowing on this thing. And again, we get up every day and we choose to make it work. So just like you choose to get up and want to go bust the windows out and the day is the day I'm gonna beat the new girlfriend up, stop all that.
Stop
Choose your
all of
one
it.
person. Stop it. Choose your one person. Ask God to come in, and then you put all
Mhm.
that energy into that one place, and I guarantee you it'll turn out better.
Exactly. Most definitely, it will. Um, and if there's any, one thing that you take
Mm-mm.
from us on this particular topic, even if you don't have the I do, even if you don't have it, um, you could still have peace, with
Absolutely.
that baby father, baby mother, the situation, even if there is no triangle, say neither one of you ever find anybody else in life, you could still have peace if you both have blended families, the way Sean and I do. Our husbands actually get along, you know,
Very
things
well.
like this. Yeah. Things happen in life where you have to step up and say, okay, I'm going to be the adult, even if I don't have the I do,
That's right.
even though
That's
it's ideal.
that it's idea, and that's what it is. We're trying to bring a topic or a show to give you insight on how I do is so important. Not so much as important, it's so fundamental in making things flow peaceful. That's what I'm trying to
Right,
say. But it's not
right.
always going to be an I do. It's not always going to be an I do. But we wanted to give that because we don't want to give the illusion that it's okay to be a baby mama. Just keep doing what you're doing. You
Exactly.
always want to bring people to the right path. I mean, you should want to. If you're a Christian, if you love God, if you want things to go, especially your family, especially the young people. You don't have to be my family. I really want these young people to get the concept of that's not cool. Being a baby
Yeah,
mama is not an accomplishment, and I learned that the hard way. But guess
exactly.
what? If I can save someone else from going through it, then I will.
Yeah, and a lot of people tell me when they say, "Oh, when they hear about our podcast, they're like, "Oh, I don't like you being called baby mama." I'm like, "But I was.
That's reality. It's a
I was
reality.
I was a
And guess
baby
what?
mama." Go
If
ahead.
you can't keep it real, Shannon, and I was just saying, if you can't keep it real, what we talking about? Ain't nobody about to be
Yeah,
doing no fake
yeah.
stuff.
Right, right. And I said, that's what I was. I was never married to the common denominator or to Buddy. So I was the baby mama. There's no shame there. I used to, oh gosh, I have to take you back. In my 20s, I used to have so much shame. If I dated someone, it would just, oh, should I tell them that I have a child out of wedlock? That was a big stigma for me, a big thing. It is what it is.
That's a
I
fact. And
am
that's why
his
you and I are different,
mother,
girl.
and I'm
That's it.
proud to be his mother. This
Abs,
is my
girl.
son, my everything, my world,
That's
So
it.
I hate
So
that
you
I
be
went
proud.
through that. Yeah, yeah. I hate that I went through
We hate
that
how we got to it, but we
shame.
love our
Yeah, oh, of
kids.
course. Yeah, I
And
love
see,
my
Shannon,
child.
that's why I love you, girl, because you's like, it's the stigma. I was so
Mm.
concerned. The devil,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah,
I
the
got I got
devil.
2 kids. I have 3 kids. Okay. I ain't got to tell nobody I got 4 because this is father and we're back together. And this is it for me. But I had no problem. I got 3. How you doing?
Hmm.
If because guess what? 3 come with me. I needed them know. I needed them know off the top. It's me and 3 kids. What you doing? And if
Hmm.
they can't handle that, you give them that option. Go on about your business. I was never
Right.
ever stigmatized about mine because guess what, Shannon? We all come from somewhere. And I'm
Yeah,
not ashamed of
yeah.
where I came from. And not that you were shamed, but I get what you're saying because you're such a sweet girl. You're so
I think I was shamed though because of my I think I was
ah
because of my upbringing. My family, we come from a strong, conservative Pentecostal
right.
Dakota background. So me getting pregnant out of wedlock, that was a huge disgrace. It's like, oh my gosh,
Right.
hell and brimstones are falling down on this girl for getting pregnant in college of all things. So yeah, it was a big thing, and it weighed on me for a while. A lot of years, probably throughout my all of my 20s. But then as I matured, and I was immature already,
Right.
growing up the way I grew up. So I wasn't it took me a while, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It just took me a while to accept that, hey, you shouldn't have shame. you
That's
you're
right.
great, you're a good mother, you're raising your child on your own, you're doing this, whatever. So I am proud now, but I did go through that shame and stigma, and I'm glad that you didn't, Sean, and that just shows the difference between you and I appreciate our yin and yang, and how we.
Yeah, girl, because I'm telling you, my father
Yeah.
was a avid. My father and grandmother, his side, they were avid Christians. I mean, they had their. My father had his faults. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't perfect, but he was a Christian, and I was
Hmm.
scared. I wasn't ashamed. I thought my father told us growing up, if we got pregnant out of wedlock, he was gonna barbecue the baby and make us eat it. I was so scared of that. I was like, Lord. When I grew up, I knew he was kidding. But could you imagine at 15 or 16, like he gonna barbecue the baby? My daddy was crazy. But I think that was just some fear he put into me. But
Right,
I
right.
wasn't ashamed, and not that I'm proud of this, but I wasn't ashamed because I'm
Yeah,
from the hood. What
yeah.
the song say? I'm from the hood, though. I'm like really, really, really from the hood. My mom was from the hood. She's a baby girl. What? Okay. So
Okay.
thank God I didn't have to go through that. I was a little fearful of my father. I think if you
Oh,
ain't, I think if you ain't scared of your daddy, you ain't raised right, anyways. But that's a
yeah,
whole nother topic. But I
yeah.
wasn't fearful. I'm like, I'm having a baby. I mean, it is. I didn't even think I could have babies. That was a whole nother thing. So I think I was more excited than anything. But it's not. It's not cute. I didn't find that
Right,
out two
right.
years later. It just wasn't cute. But
Yeah,
that's the reality, Shannon. That's how we grew up, and that's
yeah.
what we're just trying. That's what we're trying to do here to save some people. It's some girls in the hood that had mothers like mine that was like, go for it, whatever. I don't care what y'all doing. Don't come in my room
Mm-hmm.
bothering me. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to instill here that the importance of I do can help the people who don't even know about God, or who don't even know the importance of marriage. It's just another thing. No, it's not. It's probably the
Right.
most important thing you could do, especially if you're going to bring kids into this world.
Exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, we do have our yin and yang. We balance
we
out, and
do.
that's why God brought us together, and we've got along from the beginning because this idea has been stewing since we met, and who knew?
Who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? All
But
right.
God.
So but God. All right, Shannon. So I think I'm gonna go into our red line for today.
All right. Time for red
All
lines.
right. So the red line topic of today is realizing I do now means we do. And keeping the rhythm of our topic, once you're married, it's important to remember that that's your last I. That I
Mm-hmm.
you speak at the altar is your last I. That don't mean we shouldn't have our own individuality. We shouldn't give up. We should give up. It's totally who we are. But you leave that I language, leave that at the altar, because once you do come together, it's that threefold cord. Every decision, every big decision should be made. You know, as a team.
Right.
Shannon, I think you were getting off into it.
Yep.
Every week you be trying to sneak off in my red lines, but you don't know it though,
I
because my red
know.
lines be a secret, y'all. But she almost got off in there talking about her husband
I
with the individuality thing. So I kind of I cut you off for a reason, Shannon. I'm like, she gonna get my red line. But now I want you to share that story because I heard you coming.
know.
Share
Yes,
that story
yes.
about how was it like to give up your individuality.
Oh yeah, it was difficult for me, because I got married, later in life, and my husband would always say, if the goal is in marriage, what are we doing? And then he would do things for me that I wasn't used to. For example, since I've known him, I haven't had to put gas in my car. And he will say, I'm going to put gas in your car. I'm going to wash your car. Things like that are uncommon. I'm like, what? I can do these things on my own. And he's like, no, you don't. I've got this. And some people might say, oh, so what? That's no big deal. But it was a big deal for me because as a very, very independent female who has always made my way, single mom, raising my son, making my own way in life, having someone come in to say, "Hey, I want to do all these things for you." We're a we now. It's a we. It's not an I thing anymore. It was difficult for me to recognize that, hey, it's a we thing. I have to
Be the
let
man.
him be the man and take care of me if
Hmm.
he that's what he wants to do, and for me to say, hey, I got to take a step back and not be so hard, even though a lot of people don't think of me as hard. He can tell you a different story because he sees, someone that
Well,
had to be strong. So not necessarily hardness doesn't necessarily mean uh tough or mean. It just means I've got this.
right.
So
Well, it's exactly the opposite for me. It was my hubby who had the problem with the giving up the I do. And that's just because he was so like you. He was just so used. He lived his life on the defense. And he even said that to me once. And I'm like, wow, just that line made me understand him more. He said, Sean, I live life on the defense. I put myself in some situations. I've given people chances to hurt me or, to betray me. And I won't do that again. So it was really hard for him to come into the we do. But you know what? He did it. And it, like you said, it's work. It takes work every day. So
Hmm.
realizing that I do means we do will keep a lot of friction and peace in your marriage. And that's
Right.
my red line topic for the day.
All right. That's wonderful. And we want to remind everyone to please submit your red lines. If you're in a wifey baby mama situation or blended family situation, or even if it has nothing to do with any of that, it's just something that you feel like you need to get off your chest, please submit your red lines
Something that's a
to
no in the
wifey and
relationship.
yeah, no in the relationship. There you go. Please submit them to wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. Once again, that is wifey and baby mama at gmail.com for your chance to win a $100 gift card each month. On the third Thursday of each month, we will select one of the red lines that have been submitted and we will read them. We will read them on our podcast. And if yours is the submission that we choose to read, you will win $100. So please submit them.
Yes.
Once again, wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. We look forward to reading your red lines on our podcast. All right. So, next is the segment we like to call the fictional family I'm feeling. The fictional family I'm feeling. All right. So, the fictional family I'm feeling this week, they're fictional slash non-fictional because they're based off of Chris Rock's family, The Rocks. And they are from Everyone Hates Chris, or Everybody Hates Chris. I'm sorry. Everybody Hates Chris, starring Terry Crews, Chichina Arnold. And the episode that is on my mind today is when Rochelle, Chichina Arnold plays Rochelle. Terry Crews is Julius, her husband. So Rochelle and Julius. Julius, if those of you who have not watched this franchise, he's very, very cheap. Very, very cheap guy. He nickels and dimes everything. Um, so Rochelle finds a credit card, or I'm sorry, she gets a credit card in the mail, a renewed credit card, and she's surprised because Julius been so cheap, they never had credit. And so she's concerned about him having this credit card that she didn't know about. And she goes to her friends, of course, in the beauty salon. And they tell her, oh, I knew a guy that lied about his own height. They're like, lied about his height. Yeah, he had lifts in his shoes. Oh, okay. Oh, found out he had a whole nother family. So here's Rochelle thinking Julius got a whole nother family. And then she pictures this whole family speaking Spanish. Hola, papi, ¿cómo están? You know, whatever. And so she confronts Julius and she says, you know, what's up with this credit card? You know, what is it? You've been a member since 1970, and this episode they're filming based on 1985. So she said, in 15 years, you've had this credit card. He says, well, I got it. It took me 7 years to pay off the initial purchase. And every time I wanted to cancel, they kept increasing the credit limit. So I couldn't cancel. She says, so what is it that you had to buy and keep secret from me that I find out 15 years later? And he says, of course, her wedding ring. We knew it was coming, but it was still touching.
Aww,
He says, your
it
wedding
is.
ring. For him to say,
Aww.
I do, he had to break protocol from something that he did not believe in. He didn't believe in credit. He did not believe in
Aww.
spending extra money. And it took him 7 years to pay off something for the woman that he loved. So, the
Aww.
importance of saying I do and how it ties to, you know, the family dynamic and how people relate is what I took from the fictional family that I'm feeling this week.
That is awesome. But that is touching. But you know what I got out of that? Her friends were quick to go to. He got another family and turn
Ooh,
her the other way.
yes,
Now, see, that's
yes.
what I took from that because you know what?
Watch your
My hubby and I
friends.
go through. There you go. Watch the people you have around. Watch your circle. Because when I tell you my husband and I have had a battle this last time around, and you know what has saved us? Our
Mhm.
saved friends. The people that love us, that love God, who told me, stick with it. I know it's a lot. Girl, you got a baby with hubby. You know he a lot. But stick with it.
Mhm.
And you're
Yeah,
having the right circle. It ain't just important to have the right man. Having the right circle is important as well.
exactly. Awesome. All right. So that takes us to the end of our episode today. And we want to thank you for joining us each and every week. We appreciate your loyalty. And for those of you that have submitted your red lines, we look forward to reading those who win on the air. And we want to tell everyone this week that we do have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages that we want to promote. So if you want, please like, share, and subscribe um, to our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and look for us on the various podcast platforms. We're everywhere. We're on YouTube.
We're everywhere. We're getting
We're
out there.
we're getting out there. Yes, so please look for
Getting
us.
out there.
Um, from our transistor page, you can also see all the different sites we're posted on. So we thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to next week. And we welcome you back into our lives. Shun and Shannon, we love you all.
Love you.
Bye.